Hi, welcome back to Dirtbag Baseball Talk. Kirk McNabb here as always, and thanks for being back, Dirtbags. Appreciate it, and excited about today's guest. And I've known him through emails and behind the scenes, and the original originator of baseball jobs overseas, David Burns, for a long time. But it's great to have j.jensen, and you are Chief Operating Officer, right, with baseball jobs overseas, Jimmy?
Correct, correct. And I also do some scouting for him as well. But yeah, pretty much a little bit of everything.
Fantastic. And I know we've been working on this for a little while or whatever, trying to connect with this, but you've been a busy guy. And of course, the hours of difference being in Europe. I'm back home for the winter in Canada. And I know, luckily enough, this week you're got the opportunity to back home with your family. So how's things going out in California?
Yeah, it's good. I'm only back for a week, so it's a short time, but it's always good to be back home with family. I only get to do it like once or twice a year. But whenever I can come back, especially around the holidays, it's always a really good time.
For sure, man. It's like anything, right? You don't know how lucky you are. You don't know how special it is to have family until you are away for a while and stuff like that. And again, you don't need a year with them as you get older, but it is nice to just be able to see family and friends for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So you're a busy guy. So really, what I want to do for the nation, Jimmy, is I want to talk a little bit about your journey in baseball and stuff like that, and really kind of start to orientate my audience, if you will, or whatever, and out with what baseball jobs overseas is all about. So I guess
Sure.
you grew up in the baseball industry, obviously in California, and
Yeah.
college.
Yeah, so I played some college ball. Well, I was actually, going a little bit further back. So I played a little bit in high school, but I actually was cut from my high school team. Ended up going to a junior college. I didn't get many innings there. I tore my labrum my freshman year. But I went to a really good JUCO, Chabot College. Had a really good coach there, Steve Friend, taught me a lot, and ended up walking on at a small 4-year Menlo College, which had never won a playoff game in school history. Ended up going there, and we had some of our most successful seasons of all time. And ended up working my way into the starting rotation. Did really well. Ended up winning an All-American my senior year, and I was hoping to get drafted, but as a righty, only throwing upper 80s, like if that, it was obviously quite tough. So after I graduated, ended up playing a season in the Pecos League, which was a grind, but it was a cool experience. I'm glad I did it, but when I was offered to go back the next year, I said I didn't want to do it, and ended up going back home. Thought I would just start real life, start a job, and I just played in a local league with my friends in a men's league. It was pretty competitive. There were a lot of ex-pro guys and some college guys, but I had like this ridiculous season where I used a bat I made in wood shop in high school, and I hit like 450, and I threw 90 innings, and I gave up 4 runs on the whole year. And one of my friends actually told me about the international baseball community at the time.
Yeah.
And so I signed up with Baseball Jobs Overseas, what is currently Baseball Jobs Overseas. I made a profile, and Dave Burns reached out to me like probably 5, 10 minutes after I published my profile, and asked if I wanted to come play for his team in Austria. And after I published the profile, I think at that time I probably got, I don't know, like 10, 15 offers from teams in different parts of the world. But, being from the Bay Area and an Oakland A's fan, going to play with Dave Burns for the A's in Austria, it sounded like a good fit. And I'm really glad I did that because, I was living with Dave. I played with Dave in Austria. And that was like a awesome first experience for me because the team was great. It was a fun league. And it's just a beautiful part of the world in Austria. But yeah, then I started working with Dave, and uh, because I got my degree in marketing, and I asked him if he needed any help with baseball jobs overseas at the time. I'd love to be a part of it however I could. And it was just kind of perfect timing to where, he had started this company and it started to kind of take off a little bit. And then I kind of came on at the right time. And, together we worked really well together. We get along really well. And Dave's such a genuine person, just trying to help people. It was definitely a company that I wanted to be a part of. And it kind of helped me use my business degree while also staying in baseball too. So it was just like a win-win.
Yeah, like they say, right? You know what? When you're doing what you love to do, it doesn't. There's never a day of work, right?
Yeah, yeah, I loved it, and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, you guys are doing a great job, and you know what? I think that's really the big picture. I mean, you've been doing it for a few years now, Jimmy, and it's probably still overwhelming to you that how as big as you've grown, there's still so many people that are unaware of baseball jobs overseas and really what you guys do. So,
Yeah.
you know, expand on that if you don't mind for the audience.
Sure. So, I mean, what we do is we're essentially just like a online platform where we help connect players with teams around the world. So we have a database of players, and what we do for players is we help them market themselves to teams. So we set them up with a player profile that has everything and anything about their baseball career. It has their stats, videos, references, articles, where they've played, what they've done. And once we have that profile together, then we get that profile out to clubs who are searching for players. Our biggest markets that we work with are usually Europe in the summer and Canada, and Australia, New Zealand in the winter. But you know, for the really high level guys, we can get them into Japan. We can get them in. We've had some players in the ABL down in Australia. Um, because I mean, there's so many different levels overseas that, you know, for any type of player, there's an opportunity for them. Whether you're like, you know, a MLB AAA level guy, or whether you're a Division 3 or like a men's league guy or a club baseball guy, there's so many different opportunities around the world where it's like there's kind of a good fit for almost anyone. Whether you want to start at the grassroots level and help develop the game, or if you're kind of coming off a pro career and you just want to kind of see the world and you know, like an Andy Cosgrove type who played pro ball and then he just wants to go, you know, play in the south of France in Montpellier or go to Surfers Paradise in Australia or London just because they're really cool places to live and you kind of use baseball as your ticket to get there.
Yeah, it really is. It's cool and stuff like that. You know, being in France the last couple of years back coaching and that, and it was 1993 when I first went to 70 Lions or whatever and that in baseball
Yeah.
jobs and David's roughly my age as well or whatever and that, but it wasn't on the concept at that time. It was just who you knew and that was about it. There wasn't a platform, and of course there wasn't the internet and the accessibility that we have now and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So they go on, they get a profile with you and stuff like that. How long does it? Is it a monthly? Is it a subscription plan? Is it a payment plan? Is it
So
monthly?
there is an upfront cost. We try to make it relatively cheap. So it's
Yep.
like $110 for a 6 month membership. And pretty much what you're paying for is you're paying for the exposure. So if you pay for a 6 month membership, we'll get you exposure for 6 months for like leading up to a season. So say for if you're trying to get signed in the 2024 European season, if you sign up right now, we'll help you get exposure to teams for the upcoming season. We also have an annual plan for guys who want to maybe go play in Europe for the summer and then go play in Australia for the winter. That's $190. Or for guys who know they want to do this for more than 1 year and more than a couple seasons, we also have a lifetime membership as well, which is 500 at the moment.
Yeah, you can't beat that for, I mean, because how many teams are we talking about right now on your database? And I realize not everybody stays with you guys year round. Maybe they don't need a recruiting that year or whatever and that, so they back off. But how many teams are we talking about for players out there watching?
Right now, I think we have over 400 baseball teams around the world. And like that's throughout Australia, Europe, Japan, Taiwan, South Africa, Argentina, Guatemala, Mexico, Canada. I think so far we've helped 2,000 players sign within 35 different countries.
That's
But we're
fantastic.
continuing to grow. We're getting into new leagues. We're finding new opportunities for players. And I mean, baseball internationally is just growing at a quick pace. It's good to see.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and dirtbags out there watching or whatever, and Jimmy and I are talking baseball because we're baseball guys or whatever. But make no mistake about it, the softball world on this end and
True.
baseball jobs overseas also offers anybody out there in the softball world out there that wants to take this journey, you can go on there as well and get the same accessibility as the baseball side. So it's phenomenal how you're growing and stuff like that. To a person that's not sure, but they're looking at it, Jimmy, how would you spoke about AAA all the way down to Division 3 or men's pickup league and stuff like that. How would you, and this isn't about bashing any country or over celebrating any country over the other, but how, let's say they're looking at going to Europe. What's the countries? How's it kind of lay out in your mind from the top down?
Well, it's kind of been changing over the past couple of years. So, I mean, for a long time, it was always like Italy and the Netherlands were at the top. Now, I might get a little controversy here, but, I think Italy has started to drop down a little bit. The Netherlands is still really strong. They get a lot of guys from Curacao, Aruba, all the guys with Dutch citizenship. Um, Italy is still a really strong baseball country, and it's one of the best places to play. And some of those teams, like Parma, Bologna, like they're really good. San Marino, like they're solid teams. But a few years ago, there used to be the Italian Series A, which was 6 teams, and it was super competitive in the Italian Baseball League. Now they've expanded the league out to 30 teams or so. So those top teams are like almost going like undefeated throughout the regular season until they face each other in playoffs. So I think overall, like in the long run, I think the goal is to, bring the level of those like former second division teams up a bit higher so they can compete with the higher level clubs. But I think in the short term, it's kind of dropped the level down just slightly. And like you can kind of see from Italy's recent European Championship performance, it wasn't as great as they usually have been in the past. Whereas, Czech Baseball League has been growing very, very quickly. And after their World Baseball Classic appearance and their success there, beating China and having some really good games against Japan and requalifying for the next World Baseball Classic, there's a lot of hype around Czech baseball, and that level is growing really quickly. So I would say like the top tier would probably be like Italy, Netherlands, and the Czech Republic. And I would say the German Bundesliga is right there with the Czech Extraliga. The South Division is usually a little bit stronger than the North Division, although like the Bonn Capitals, Paderborn up north, they're really solid teams too, but there's not as much depth in that North Division as compared to the South, I think, who has Regensburg, Mainz, Heidenheim, like these powerhouses where the competition's a little more spread out there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So you've been busy, as I said at the top of the show and stuff like that. So great experience, I have to assume, for you in that. You just are coming back from the Japan Winter League. If you don't mind taking a few minutes just to talk about that, who could participate in that? Is it strictly a Japanese thing? Is it a European thing? I know my former catcher this past year and that he was over there and stuff like that, but talk to about that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a relatively new league. Last year was the very first time they had the league. And we had one player there, Leonard Peters, who played second division Austria the season before. And then he went to the Japan Winter League and got picked up by a professional independent team in Japan. This year we partnered with the Japan Winter League, and the league it's such an awesome concept. And I mean, so what they want to do is, for any aspiring players that want to play professionally in Japan, this is an opportunity for them to showcase themselves to teams, professional teams throughout Asia. So this year, at the Japan Winter League, there were scouts and coaches from the NPB teams, which is their highest level there, the MLB equivalent. There were scouts from different levels of independent ball throughout the BC League, Shikoku Island League, the Kyushu League, the Kansai League, the Hokkaido League. There was also the CTBC brothers from Taiwan in the CPBL. There were MLB coaches there and scouts there from the Dodgers and the Mets. There were ABL teams scouting it. And the overall professionalism of the league was just amazing. We played in 3 separate stadiums. We split it up into an advanced league and a tryout league. And the advanced league had all the professional players that are playing in the BC League, in the company leagues. So we had players from like Honda, Toyota, Panasonic, who are really high level players, pitchers throwing 95 plus. And their teams actually sent them to the Japan Winter League to get some extra reps in the off season. And then, so like there's local Japanese players who are already signed and they're just getting extra work in. There's local Japanese players who are aspiring to be professional to get picked up by some teams. And then there's also foreign players who are aspiring to get signed within Japan. And all the stadiums we played in were probably the best stadiums I've ever played in my life or coached in.
Yeah.
And they're like, full on, they're the spring training stadiums for the NPB teams. So we were playing in the Hiroshima Carp Stadium at Koza Stadium down in Okinawa, but we also had a stadium in Ginawan and one in Urasoy, which is they were all different NPB spring training stadiums, but they had really cool indoor facilities. The stadiums were really nice with big stands. They had indoor bullpens, and the indoor facilities were like 2 football fields stacked next to each other within a warehouse, all turf. So when it was raining, we can get full practices in there. And it's a really good environment to not only get signed, but also to just develop and get better because guys are in there working every single day. So it was really cool to see.
Fantastic concept, like you said, and good for them. Good for them to be getting more exposure for the Japanese market, even and stuff like that, the Asian market, and again, just like what you guys, yourself and Dave are doing with baseball jobs overseas and stuff. So, Dirtbags, I cannot recommend these guys enough. It's a no brainer. They've been in this game on helping and extend your journey, grow your journey for a long time now. And they've got the connections with the teams throughout Europe, like Jimmy said, Australia, well, anywhere around the world. Not they built those, but they built them on trust and respect. I know some of my players from La Rochelle in France this past summer and stuff like that utilized you guys, and you were very professional. Anytime I've had to reach out just to pick your brains and get some different ideas on that, you've been very prompt and very quick in your response and very professional, and but yet very comfortable, not egotistical, not like you're better than them. It's exactly what you said, Jimmy. It's just you and David want to do basically what I want to do is just offer this great game of baseball to anybody and everybody, and have everybody be able to create a story for yourself and then be able to share it, right? So they want to get in touch with you. Where do they go?
Well, you can email me at j.jensen at baseballjobsoverseas.com. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can, like, all of my information is on the website. You can go to baseballjobsoverseas.com. You can find us on Instagram. We try to be as responsive as possible and get back as quick as possible. But of course, the more we grow, the harder it is to be as prompt with those responses. But especially over the past couple months, it's been tough to get back as quickly as I usually do, since my schedule has been a little bit crazy. But now that I'm settling back in, now after the new year, once I get back on a normal schedule, should be quite responsive again.
Yeah, for sure. And just like Jimmy said, with his own journey and stuff like that, anybody's able to do this, and should aspire to do this. If you love this game of baseball like we do, you're crazy not to do it and reach out. You're still playing, Jimmy, or whatever. And that, how many years has it been that you've been doing the baseball jobs overseas circuit?
Well, it's been over 8 years now. So I mean, like, yeah, my first season was in Austria. And then after Austria, 6 months in Austria, I went 6 months in Sydney, Australia, then Paris, France, then Melbourne, Australia, then Stuttgart, Germany, then Canada for a year, New Zealand, Czech Republic. But I just tore my UCL, so I got to get surgery now. So now I'm just full-time coaching, and working for BBJO. But I abused my arm for a really long time. It was bound to happen eventually. So I'll get Tommy John. I'll come back stronger, and I'll be ready to go soon.
I love it. I love it, man. Jimmy, I can't thank you enough for hopping on with me. I can't thank you enough for telling your own personal story, sharing it with our Dirtbag Nation, as well as the baseball jobs overseas. As always, Dirtbags, I'll make sure to add on Jimmy's contact information and baseball jobs overseas contact information and stuff like that. If you have any reservations in the short term, you can always contact me and stuff like that. I'm happy to work you through it with it, but trust me, again, I will not have anybody on that is not trustworthy, that we do not believe in wholeheartedly in the baseball world, the softball world. And hopefully, Jimmy, this is something that we could maybe grow into, a monthly thing or whatever it is, a quarterly thing. Love to have any players on that have been around to even share their stories and their baseball jobs overseas adventures, because I think it's valuable, right?
I'd love to. I mean, we've only started to scrape the surface. We could go a lot deeper into, all the different leagues and opportunities there are out there. So
Absolutely.
I'd love to do this again.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what it's all about on our side as well, is getting great baseball stories out there. And this is one of the biggest baseball stories when you look at it, the fact that you guys do it globally. You truly do it globally. So again, brother, I cannot thank you enough. I hope you have a great time in California with your family. Safe travels back home to Austria with your wife. Again, yeah, we will be in touch real soon, and that's what it's all about. So, Dirtbags, as always, you know what time it is. It's time to get up, get after it, and get dirty.